I'm not really the type of person to delight myself when others are struggling. I want to lift people up rather than put them down. But if you're a terrible person and if you're going to hurt millions of people if you win an election, I'm going to be happy that you're failing. And Ken Paxton, the Republican candidate for Senate in Texas, is failing really hard right now. And I just love it. Am I a bad person because of that? Let me know in the comments. Let me explain what's going on. Donald Trump sort of eventually handpicked Ken Paxton for the Texas Senate race. This is the race where Democrat James Talarico is facing off against Ken Paxton. The incumbent Republican Senator, John Cornyn, lost his primary after Donald Trump, very late in the game, endorsed Ken Paxton. Fine. So you've got Talarico and you've got Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton is unable to raise money. He is just, nobody wants to donate to him. He is a terrible person. He's a disgusting individual. He has decades of just horrible things in his past, both personally and professionally. And meanwhile, James Talarico is flush with cash. Check out this report from CNN. Talarico's raised over 21 million. Ken Paxton has raised not even 2 million. The Democrat in the Texas Senate race has raised about 10 times more than the Republican. Take a look at this.
Just going back to Texas, this is remarkable if you look at just the money, because Texas is obviously a huge state, a very expensive state in any cycle to run in. The Democrat, James Talarico, has raised and has cash on hand $21.5 million. Paxton, the Republican candidate in what has been red Texas, has $1.8 million. And I want you to listen to what Ken Paxton did. He went on Fox and basically begged for money.
I'm optimistic that they'll come in soon because as we're raising money, we're working our way back into October, which is where we can spend money, and we're trying to work our way back to September. But we need help now because James Talarico has been spending $3 or $4 million a week on TV for the last month. So I want to compete.
It's just extraordinary to hear a Republican in Texas having to beg for money on television at this point in the race. And it's also, I mean, we're all here old enough to know that Democrats have been promising to turn Texas into a purple state for a long time and haven't actually done it. But it does look, certainly on the money side, but also on the polling, like they've got a real chance of doing that in this race. And that is a huge shift from decades of political reality in that state.
Yeah, and, you know, Ken Paxton was definitely not the choice of Republicans here in Washington who thought that the sitting Senator John Cornyn would have been the best bet to keep that state red.
By the way, also a black eye for President Trump. I mean, just the fact that that's happening at all right now is a reflection of the choice that he made in terms of where he gave his support.
Now, the exact totals depend on the reporting period and whether we're talking about money raised or cash available. You might have raised a bunch of money, but you spent more. Okay, fine. But the latest quarterly filings show Talarico raising 31.6 million to Paxton's 9.3. And since the beginning of 2025, the cumulative totals were about 72 million for Talarico and 17 million for Paxton. However you measure it, the Republican is getting crushed. So he now goes, listen, we need help. I saw a fundraising email from Ken Paxton. I need your help. And he said to viewers and to anybody who would listen, my campaign needs support from around the whole country. Please donate to me. Think about what this means. A Republican nominee in Texas using national TV to beg for money like a telethon because a Democrat is crushing him. And it's not just any Republican. This is the guy Trump selected. Trump intervened in the Republican primary. He endorsed Paxton over Cornyn. The MAGA base said, we're going to follow Donald Trump here. Paxton won. He is now the nominee. But just winning the primary and building a general election campaign are two very different things. And so Trump was able to help Paxton secure the nomination without a doubt. but it doesn't seem to be making donors super excited about giving Ken Paxton any money. And this is the underlying weakness of the Trump model. Loyalty is the most important thing. We know that. Electability, not so much. Trump has chosen the candidate who goes further to flatter Trump. But it's completely conceivable that Cornyn was actually the more electable guy statewide in Texas. And then Republicans are figuring out, well, one of the things you've got to do to win is you do need to appeal to donors. I wish it were different. But at this point, the person who raises more money tends to win, although this is not always the case. Sometimes you've got, out-of-state money that pours in and it doesn't really have the same effect. But as a general rule, you're usually in a better position if you've raised more money and you have more money than if you don't. And Paxton comes in, years of scandal, impeachment by a Republican-controlled Texas House, serious questions about whether Republicans nominated the weakest possible guy just because Donald Trump said, this is the guy. And look at the campaign that James Talarico is running. Huge small dollar fundraising operation. Texas Tribune reports that almost half of Talarico's money from individual donors is from people giving under $200 total. So Talarico doesn't have like a few giant dumps of money. He's really doing the work of raising from small dollar donors. Now, it's important to be cautious here, especially in Texas, and especially when you're talking about a Democrat running for the Senate. Beto O'Rourke dramatically outraised Ted Cruz in 2018, but he did lose. And Colin Allred out-fundraised Ted Cruz in 2024 and lost by even more than Beto lost by. Texas is difficult for Democrats. You still want to raise more money. Raising more money is usually better than it is worse. But it's important to remember that this is Texas, and Paxton may also get help from national Republican groups and outside organizations. Trump can do rallies, send fundraising messages, all of that stuff. This is a race that is not over. But if there's anything to feel inspired by, especially if you're thinking of getting involved in this one, it's that Talarico has better polling numbers than Beto ever did. And that's a good sign. Now, Republicans control statewide politics in Texas. Trump selected the nominee. The nominee is going on Fox and going, I really need your money. I really need your money. Let's make them fail on this one. And the broader issue, of course, is the Senate map. In the House of Representatives, everybody's up for re-election every 2 years. So every 2 years, it is a referendum, and you could see major realignments. You can see realignments in the Senate, but the way it works is there's 100 seats in the Senate, 6-year terms. Every 2 years, about a third of the 100 senators are up for re-election. That third can favor one party or the other. And it's not awesome for Democrats this time around. There is a path for Democrats to control the Senate. It's not even that unlikely. Most of the polling and betting markets say that it's like a 55-45 looking good for Republicans. 55-45 can become 50-50 very quickly. So we've got to get out there. There are so many key races. We're going to be talking about them. There are many opportunities to get involved, but it is a delight. I am personally relishing seeing Ken Paxton struggle so badly to raise any amount of money. And he's a horrible person. He deserves to be struggling. He has no business being the nominee, never mind the senator from Texas. Thanks for watching. Check out this other video. And if you like our content, make sure to subscribe so YouTube puts our videos in your feed, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple.